Hello everyone, Pelitum here. Welcome back to Diablo 3. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Tal Rasha's pushing build for Season 13. This one is complicated, and you have to pay attention to everything because every piece of gear is so very important and matters so very much. So first things first, what is the Tal Rasha's set? Well, the 6-piece bonus, which is what we're using with the gloves, helmet, chest piece, belt, pants, and amulet. I know it's a weird set. Damaging enemies with arcane cold fire or lightning will cause a meteor of the same type to fall from the sky. There's an 8-second internal cooldown for each type of meteor. Then the 4-piece set, arcane cold fire, lightning attacks each increase all of your resistances by 25% for 8 seconds. And then the 6-piece bonus, attacks increase your damage by 750% for 8 seconds. Arcane cold fire and lightning attacks each add 1 stack. So you want to alternate between your abilities, and you'll notice that we gain the buff, we hit a lot harder, we deal a lot more damage, we call down meteors in every direction, and you're basically wanting to alternate your skills constantly. Well, not constantly, but enough to keep this 4-stack buff going down at the bottom left. The rest of the gear is the Mantle of Channeling. This is so we can sit idly by and just channel one ability and use our etched sigil to proc meteors to fall from the sky. I keep mentioning that the etched sigil was the most important piece of gear I got early on in the season, and I really do believe that. I really do. Fantastic piece of gear. Other than that, we are using the Convention of Elements with a Unity. Because we have a Unity, that means we need another Unity over here on our Templar, which he does have one. And then he also has the relic that allows him to not die. Very, very important. We're basically splitting the damage with our Templar, and because he can't die, that's a constant damage reduction for our character. Also, the Mantle of Channeling, while we are channeling, on my particular piece, we have 22% damage reduction. Oh, excuse me, 25%. The variable is an increase. I had it backwards. So that is so important for staying alive. So very important. Just like the Firebird set that we've been covering throughout the season, we are using a Death Wish. While we're channeling, we deal more damage. This also increases the damages of your meteors. So if you can sit still and channel, you should. Now, I am using the illusionary boots, but that could change now because I do have the Aquila Curious in the cube. So, because we're not using the Nilfer's boast to increase our damage, I always call this the wrong thing every time. Because we're not using that to increase our damage in the cube, we need to equip it on our character. But we're able to get a ton of survivability if we keep our resource above, I believe, 90%. So that does 733 damage. With this item, you just want to find the one that has the highest meteor damage on it and equip those. I'm sure I have a few in here. Please disregard the clutter. It's gotten pretty bad. 769 there. I think that's my best one. Okay, so we'll just equip these. We'll be ready to go. I don't even think I need to roll anything on that. Those look pretty good. Now, the range for the increased meteor damage on Nilfer's boasts is from 675% to 900%. These are at 769, so definitely could be better, but not bad at all. But the idea is that we can just pop all of our abilities and then wait for our resource to come back and maintain a certain level of resource. You'll notice the Curious buff right here when we have it active. And it's just going to increase our defense by quite a bit. This item reduces all damage taken by 50%. If we're channeling, that's another 25%. And it just adds up so much. Remember, we have the Unity 2 that's splitting damage. That's where all of our survivability comes. As far as the abilities that we are using, we have Arcane Torrent. Oh, what else is in the cube? Sorry. We have a Halo of Carini because we want to take less damage. All you have to do is have your Storm Armor on. It'll shock people, and you take 80% less damage. Pretty good. And then the Grand Vizier. This is, again, what we were using during the Firebird set. Just increases our media damage, just like the Nilfer's Boast. Okay. We're using Arcane Torrent with Static Discharge. This is because we need a electricity element, and this is the easiest way to do it. This damage is going to build up over time, so the longer you can sit here channeling, the more damage it will do. And of course, because of our etch sigil, we are going to be spawning more meteors while that happens as well. Instead of teleport with safeguard, we're using teleport with calamity because it does arcane damage when you teleport. So this counts as your application of arcane damage. Ray of Frost with cold blood. We're using this because two reasons from what I've been able to discern. It is a ranged frost ability, and it also has a very low channeling cost. You'll notice that my arcane torrent on the right isn't even moving a little bit. And I think that if I'm trying really hard to keep up my buff, this is what I should be using. Now, I'm not totally sure, but that's been working pretty good for me. We also have magic weapon with deflection. This is to build up armor whenever we attack. It gives us a little bit of a shield for a percentage of our health. And storm armor to proc the Halo of Karini. Our traits, I'm going for Audacity, Galvanizing Wound, Illusionist, and Unstable Anomaly. That's a cheat death. This is free teleports. Galvanizing Wound gives us a shield based on our HP, which stacks with the other shield that we have. And Audacity increases the damage that we deal to distant targets by 30%, because we're going to be filling the screen with meteors, so being able to deal damage to those distant enemies is really, really helpful. With this build, I did clear my first Greater Rift 70 to enable Primal Ancients to be unlocked on my account, to be able to have them drop on my account. Since then, I went straight from a 70 to an 80, and that was without any itemization whatsoever. So I'm assuming now I should be able to push for a new record of something like 85. I'm just assuming. I am missing one piece here. One piece of the puzzle is still eluding me. It would be, I don't recall the name of the bracer. Maybe I have them in my cube. But they would increase the amount of shielding that we get. That's what they are. Ashnagar's Blood Bracers. So increases the potency of your shields by 100%. That means the shields we're getting from deflecting weapon and our trait would also be increased. Once again, just making us more survivable. This is a very, very, very squishy build without all of the survivability tools all coming into play. But once the stars align, once you have everything put together, it is so incredibly powerful. So again, this is an 85. This is further than anything I've done so far. And you'll see that my first goal is just to proc all of the different elements. Obviously, we want to turn our buffs on right when we get in. And then I just start alternating between the elements right before the buff wears off, so we can deal as much damage as possible and keep different meteors from each element falling on our enemies. It is important that I keep my resource particularly high. We don't want it to drop off too much, because if it does, a lot of our survivability will go away with that. But as I hope you can see, that's not terribly hard to do. I am missing some greater gems to kind of make this efficient and make it work a little bit better. For instance, Bane of the Stricken, now that we're actually pushing content, now that we're actually doing the real hard stuff, Bane of the Stricken would be an absolute lifesaver. I'm just not using it yet. Oh my god. So we start this rift off with 2 elite packs. Fuck! I was naive to think they would give me an easy start. We haven't procced our cheat death yet, but I imagine it's gonna proc pretty soon. They're fucking jailers too, man. Oh my god, I can't move around. Alright. Try to teleport to the other side, just keep kiting them back and forth. We need to be really careful about keeping our resource high, otherwise we're gonna lose out on a lot of that survivability. Alright, teleporting to the other side. Finally got our potion back. Good god, man. What does this start? Come on, I don't even have any room to work with here! Give me a break! We are whittling them down quite nicely. I just can't use the occult ring. Is the Oculus ring? I don't remember that the Templar has those light rings on the ground. I can get higher damage if I stand in them. Well, I might be able to dodge a lot of these projectiles in the corner here. Yeah, this'll work. This'll work. Alright. Let's take him down, boys. Easy. Easy start. We do have to make up some time, though. Let's get moving. Oh, we got another blue pack right here. Good lord. Obviously, having enemies that aren't just shooting out projectiles at me all the time would make this a little bit easier to manage as well. But I'm just going to sit here and channel the cold skill. And as you can see, when we are able to sit there and focus all of our damage, we're able to beat people up pretty fast. Let's go find some more density, shall we? We do have a pylon here. I am still using Nemesis bracers because I don't have the fully optimized build. So what that does mean is I could spawn a few more elite packs at least. Teleporting to the other side. Let's channel our big boy skills. I might be able to stand in our buffering here for a moment. There we go. That will do. That'll do. Remember, this is a Greater Rift 85. As of right now, in order to get on the leaderboard as a wizard, all you have to do is a 92. So this is right on the coattails of being on the leaderboard. This is just a few levels behind. And considering how much time I've actually had to play this season, I'm pretty happy with how this is performing so far. Again, it's so item dependent. Really, everything has to line up in order to make this build work really well, at least as far as I could tell. And with this particular setup, once again, this is intended for solo play, for solo players, because you are using that unity and you need that damage reduction to be split with your Templar in order to really bring this all together. There are variations for this that can work just fine in groups. It is capable of dealing a lot of damage in groups, but this particular setup is just about keeping yourself alive and not as much about dealing maximum damage, to be totally honest. All right, that was actually a pretty good first area. I can't say I'm too excited about this one, though. I usually get lost in this layout, and I'm not too sure why. Because I'm pretty good at paying attention to paths and stuff, but every time I find myself in this fucking labyrinth, all of that just kind of goes away. We're making a really good pace. I don't think we're going to have any issues at all getting to the boss. That being said, because we're still using a Bane of the Powerful, killing the boss can be a little difficult. A Bane of the Stricken allows us to increase our damage. Whoa, arcane in a small little place. No, of course you can pull me back in. Why wouldn't you? Bane of the Stricken would allow our Nephilim Rift boss guys to die off a lot faster. But like I said, I've been focusing on so many different builds this season that gearing up greater gems has been a little bit of a difficult. I'm just kind of all over the place with what I gear up. These guys, I don't think they're gonna... Is this one pack or two? I think it's just one. It's just a really big pack. Let's get out of that wormhole. Finally got my damage bonus here. But can I actually stand in it with all the arcane? I don't think so. We're gonna have to kite back the other way. Just keep channeling back at this guy. Come on. Take the damn... Oh! I didn't see it. Still didn't proc my cheat death, believe it or not. Still didn't. That's actually amazing. I can stand at it for a moment. Then jump back in. Alright, he's going down. There's no way. There's my cheat death. Jeez, dude. That was a tough son of a gun. Honestly, a pretty drama-free rift. I did die one time. Just because I got teleported into some arcane beams. That's on me, though. That's my own fault. But with all the survivability bonuses we have stacking up, and the sheer amount of meteors we have falling from the sky at all times, it really is hard to compare this build to anything else, in my opinion. I mean, Firebirds may work this well in higher greater rifts, but the simple fact that you have to kite enemies around with you, and there's so much more, like, mechanics to it, like physical mechanics to it, rather than just doing your rotation and positioning well. Not only do you have to do that, but you have to carry stuff through the rift for you, or with you. I would much rather play this any day of the week. It's just too good. It's just too good to pass up, I think. All right, what's our time? We have 3 minutes left in this rift. This is going to be a new record for me. This is a pushing record for me. The boss has just spawned. We need to make sure we keep our resources high. We need to make sure we always maintain our damage reduction buff from that chest piece in our cube. And as you can see, he's not taking as much damage as you may be used to on lower difficulties. This is when Bane of the Stricken comes into play. This is when you need to be using Bane of the Stricken, when you don't instantly kill Rift Guardians like the good old days. I'm just channeling the Cold Beam because it allows me to not only slow him down just a little bit, but make sure we keep our arcane resource as high as possible because it basically doesn't have a channeling cost. I need to get away from that. Ice. Come on, stop moving, ice! There you go. Honestly, I probably could tank him a little bit more than I am. I'm just worried. I don't want to die here. Nope, 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 nope. Lost her buff. Lost her buff. Was channeling the wrong skill. That felt bad. That felt real bad. Just keeping the Tal Rasha's bonus going for as long as possible. And again, if we had Bane of the Stricken, he would be getting ramp up damage on him every time we hit him. So he'd probably be dead by now. I may not make this timer just because we don't have that gem. Which feels really bad. That feels really bad. 55 seconds remaining. I'm trying real hard here. Oh, we got some good damage in. Oh, I teleported into frozen. Bad time, bad time, bad time. Need to move out of that. Okay, he hit me pretty good there. I think... Oh, God. Oh, I need a DPS. Please just stop hitting me so I can stand still and cast. Oh, God. 20 seconds. I think. Oh, my goodness. With 18 seconds to go. That's my best rip for the season. Keep in mind, we're Paragon 608. We don't have an ancient weapon. We don't really have ancient anything on. So that means we don't have any augments. We don't have Bane of the Stricken. I really should go power level that really fast. Because that was a little too close. A little too close for comfort. But eventually we came out on top. So that's the Tal Rasha's build. This has been the most successful build that I've used this season. And this was copied directly from the top players on the leaderboard. If you didn't know, you could just go view leaderboard. And then anyone on here at any time, you could just click. View hero details. And there you go. Very similar setup. Except they have the proper bracers to kind of pull it all together. It's identical, except they're using the Frost Nova rather than the Ray of Frost. Which, I mean, I feel like either are fine. Oh, Ray of Frost also has the benefit that it procs your Etch Sigil, which I didn't think about. Yeah. Do what you want. Do what you want, boys. All right. So let's go ahead and identify this gear. I don't think it's anything I'm going to want to use. I'm going to roll for bracers because I used to have really good... What is that? I've never seen that. Haunted Visions. Oh, it's Necromancer only. No wonder I've never seen it. Are you ready? Let's roll our bracers. Give me luck. No luck today, boys. Feels bad. I do think this build is definitely the one you should strive for if you are playing a wizard this season. Others can compare to it. There are people on the leaderboards that are pushing with Firebirds and things like that. But that's not my cup of tea. That's not my cup of tea at all. You got to be a special kind of player to want to run Firebirds, in my opinion. But again, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We got a new record. Feel good, man. See you all next time. Okay, bye.